G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach Swordplay and welcome to the Round 7 stock market video. Hope you're all well. Now apologies, this is up obviously extremely late. It's just been really tough with what's been going on lately and particularly this short turnaround, obviously with the Easter Monday game. So I'm going to go through this really rapidly, only focus on a few players on each slide. I've really cut it down just because I want to try to get this out before the first game so you can check out some of the options. Some of the blokes have got on the title slide, in like Flynn, Matty Flynn. I think most teams are going to have a punt this week. Seems like a pretty popular trade-in option so far. And King Nick, the man below him, I've got him as a must-have. I think we need to get him. If you don't this week, you're probably waiting. The man right there in the middle, 99k, Mr. Carroll. Will he keep his spot with Cowan also available? We'll have to wait and see. Slight worry there. We've then got Jack Sinclair. What a bargain he's going to be coming up. We'll talk about his break-even and his prospects coming into the next few weeks. And the man down the bottom, Big Kizza, absolutely spewing if you're an owner. I think that it might be a nice trade to go out Big Kizza and in Matty Flynn. But let's get straight into this, guys. I don't want to ramble. Much love. Hope that you're all well. You know where we start, the 500k plus defenders. Let's get into it. At the top of the list this week, we have a pod in Carl Amon. You can see in the notes section, I've got the wow symbol there. That means he's had a big round score. 3-rounder of 103. Look, not fantastic. We probably want to see a little bit more consistency than that, but that break-even of 67 is pretty friendly. But are you willing to go there when you've got some of the Ubers that we can select? Probably not for me. Maxi Holmes, I'm a little bit more keen on. Has that added DPP flexibility? Low break-even of 88. But the issue is, I think he's a bit of a tag target potentially at Geelong. So that's something to look out for. I think with Holmes, he'll have his really nice scores, but then some of those lower scores around the 70s and 80s, particularly if he gets attention. Wanganeen Miller up. I've just got the safest houses symbol on him there. We've seen his role switch from quarter to quarter during the last couple of weeks, but when I say quarter to quarter, not quarter to quarter, but at times he spent a little bit of time forward, then he spent some time in the midfield, but playing most of his footy down back. A 3-rounder of 118 is the second best on this list, and you really can't go wrong, but I'd like to pay close to the 550 mark for him if possible. Lockie Whitfield, I've just got the Uber symbol there, over 600k, a 145 last week. I think he, was it close to 40? I think it was the most disposals by any player of the round, or very close to anyway. So after a sub 100 score the week before, man, this was a big relief and super happy that I've got this Uber in my side. Now, do you pay up this much for him? You could if you've already got a day cost and you're willing to spend up, but it is getting harder and harder. By the look of the projections there, he should get pretty close to that break even. Now the Shees, I've got the binocular symbol on, because I simply think that you watch him as a non-owner. As an owner, I think that you hold. You could go for some wacky sort of sideways move if you want to go a little bit different from the pack and do a lone wolf move. But personally, I'd be holding on to him myself. I'm not really in a position to be able to move on players like Sheasel. Hopefully, is there a chance he at least gets 1 week down back with Fisher out of the side? That'd be nice just to get a 130 from him. But yeah, my expectations aren't super high with the pick this year. Dane Zorko. Zorks. I think I need to apologise with this pick, because it seems like as soon as I've jumped on him as a VC selection, he just has not worked. I think this has been a bit of bug UDR from the Supercoach gods, because I just don't know what happens here. I just don't know. I've turned him into poo. Last week, holding the ball frees against, a descent free kick, a couple of filthy clangers. It just wasn't his night. Looked nowhere near a top 3 defender, and hasn't for the last few weeks. He had a bit of a blistering start to the season, 130s, 130s. I'm hoping to get back to his usual self, but for some reason, looking last week, he just wasn't hungry for those kickouts, and most of the time he didn't even offer himself as a target to receive, which was strange. Another thing that hurt him was Collingwood's defence. That team defence blocked up the middle, so he couldn't get those damaging bullet kicks through there, which I think scores him big points. So not a trade-in for me, but as owners, I think that we do hold. And yeah, look, him and Shees, it's super. If you look, just back to Shees, if you look at the stat sheet, you think he had a 120 in the bank, but Very handball happy, 23 in total, only the 9 kicks, laid 6 tackles, which was good, 70% time in the CBAs. I just want him at half back, Give Wardlaw the midfield keys, send Shees back there. But, I don't know if Clarko will. But this is a big one. Jack Sinclair. Now, he rarely has a bad game. So for non-owners, this is such a blessing. His break-even is all the way up at 180k. And then next week, unless he scores an absolute monster, it's going to be high as well. So we'll definitely be getting him in the 500s, licking my lips. And I think that in 2 weeks' time, you need to trade him in. If you don't own him, he'll be what I would say close to his lowest price point in the season after that stinker, because as I said, they pretty rarely come along. So definitely put him in your trade plans. I'm super excited. You can see in the notes section, we've got the Uber as well as the target. And I better just say with Zorko, obviously, Mr. Burns being the old man. And the other symbol you see there is leaking money. There is a big hole in the bottom of the money bag, and it's not fun for Zork's owners at the moment. Onto the defenders, 250 to 500k. And the man up the top, Zach Reed. How long does he have in our sides? And the same question needs to be asked about Luke Trainer as well. So I might pair them two together because lots of people are actually choosing between which player to trade to allow an upgrade this week. Now, Trainer was obviously the sub, but it was just a rest. He's back in the starting 22, you'd assume. The issue was his break-even, and if you're willing to hold for a little while longer before that cash begins to rise again, or that cash gen begins to rise again. Reed was playing on his brother, but didn't really impact the Supercoach score sheet like we've seen the last couple of weeks. Now, I had a few legends in the stream on Sunday night, and this was their quick summary on the Trainer versus Reed situation.
The other big question as well is the Trainer. I mean, with his low score, the 3 rounds before that, I think it was like a 90, 80, 80. So he's above his break even, right? He's made 150k. Do you kind of chop losses now and make the cash if you have a bit deeper in defense maybe? Or are you trying to back him in and you might have to wait 4 or 5 weeks for him to kind of maybe make some more cash? Because if he keeps scoring 80s, he's going to make you more cash. Or do you just go, I have to wait 4 or 5 weeks for that to happen? Best case scenario. And if he drops a 50, you're stuffed. So do you just cut losses with Trainer? That's probably one of the big decisions this week, I think, is if you hold him or cut him. And especially when you have such a good rookie at 99k, it's going to be the easiest decision for some people to just go, bang, see you later, I'm banking cash.
So not going to hurt to hold for a week, is it? Break even at 75-ish. Definitely hold.
I think it's very team dependent as well. So if you've got, like, I know, for example, myself, I've got over 300k in the bank this week, and I'm looking at my rookies, like I need to trade out someone. I've just got rid of Davidson to get that cash. So I'm looking at, is it a Moraes type? Is it a Henderson, or just keep Henderson for a loop? The next bloke that probably comes 50-50, boys. If you had to keep one, I'm going to start with you, Damon. Go across the screen. If you have to keep one, Reed or Trainer, who are you going to hold on to? If you have to, get rid of one to make your upgrade for this week.
I think Trainer. With Bolter back in the team, I'm a little bit worried. It may be coincidental, but the fact that he was pushed to the sub, I may be a little bit worried that he's affected a little bit there. So probably Trainer off the back of that.
Benny.
Reed's going in a couple of weeks anyway, so I think it's 1-2. I think Trainer probably first. I'd like to hold him, and if he scores well enough this week, I think the damage will be offset, and I think you do have a week to possibly hold him out. So Reed's. It's funny because previously speaking, they used him really well and actually went back and he was that outlet player. This week he was made redundant. So I don't know if it was matchup dependent, but he was definitely redundant as far as how they used him. So I'm going to say I would rather Reed out of my side, which sucks because he has cash.
It seems to me like Pry was more taking that role and Reed was just one to dominate his brother and just have that matchup on the brother for the week. I hope that was just the case of the week. Now, JP, great man. We know that not necessarily you're saying trade out Trainer this week, but if you had the choice, if you had to trade out either Reed or Trainer, which bloke you're saying goodbye to, brother?
I'd trade out Reed, I think, although lower break even. I think Trainer's got a better game. Hopefully he just rested for the week and moving on to better things. He's a good player. I wanted him at Carlton desperately.
Oh, yeah, would fit in nice at the Blues, wouldn't he, mate? Yeah, like
Yep.
that. Steve-O, what are you doing, son?
They pay their defenders heaps. Sorry. 800K for Williams. Yeah, let's just pay defenders. Sorry, guys.
He kicked 4 on the weekend, mate.
As a forward.
I thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about Hawthorn there with Barras and Battle. They pay the defenders as well.
I served Tom Barras at work the other day, so I was pretty stoked about that. But
oh, look, you just mixing with the A-listers, mate.
Yeah,
Are you a lawyer or a?
No, it was lining up for a minute, and I just went, I can't keep him waiting. I got to serve him, so I had to get that done. Look, for me, it'd probably be it's a tough one because I think Trainer's got the much better fixture over Reed this week, but Reed's got the lower break even. So, look, I'd probably go Trainer, but it's a tough decision. I don't have any bad word to say to anyone if they wanted to hold either one of them. So, but probably Trainer and just play the break-even game, but it's a tough call.
Yeah, it is. Supercoach God.
Sorry, boys. Matt Flynn was at the door.
Oh, is that what was the news? Any news from Minnie?
He's coming back. He's coming back for, we're getting back together.
Love it, mate. Love it.
Might not be long term, but we're back on.
He's going to be getting it back with a lot of people. I don't know how he's going to handle all that. Gee whiz.
The Supercoach town bike, as they say, is a big bike.
He's getting the last ride.
He'll take it on his. He'll take it on his back. I hear.
God.
Jack, let's get this back to PG, mate. Who are you trading out? Trainer or Reed if you have to trade one?
I'm going to be trading out Trainer this week, only because I need to get in Dacos and Matt Flynn. So that's going to be hard as it is. So I've got to, you know what? He'll probably make another 50K. He'll probably get in the 300K mark or whatever. But I don't know. You got to sacrifice stuff sometimes, and you're gonna have to wait another 4 or 5 weeks, as Ben said, to get him to that price. So I don't know. I can't be stuffed waiting that long, to be honest. So I just need Nick Dacos, the GOAT.
The other bloke we've got there is Jackson Pryor. So really good score from him in the 90s, break even all the way down to 15. So I can see in the notes section there, an absolute hold for me. Matty Roberts. Well, now I'm going to get through this quick because you either trade him out or you held. If you trade him, look, if you've got Dacos, you may be okay with it. But if you did hold, you'd be a very, very happy coach because that break even all of a sudden is down to 79. That's in the green. A nice 100-plus score from him. The role absolutely seems to be there. Used it pretty well. So all of a sudden, as we say, a week or two is a very long time in Supercoach. I'm planning on holding him until the bye, and I was very close to flipping him last week. But holders still hold for now. This is a really interesting one. Tommy Stewart. Wowee. What is this man doing? I was so keen on planning to trade him in this week, but after watching him on the weekend, I just don't think we can. You need to ask yourself this question. Is he going to be in our top 6 to 10 defenders? If you think the answer is yes, then I think you can jump on him. Absolutely go for it. But with my defence at the moment, I'm missing someone like a Sinclair. I want to get him in. I've already got your Zorko, your Whitfield. Where's he actually going to be in the overall hierarchy of our defensive premiums? You can see at the price and the 3-rounder, he's not behaving like a premium at the moment. But keep in mind there was an injury-affected game there. But from what I've seen, I'm just not keen. So I'm going to say no to Tommy, and I'll need to wait to see some decent form before I consider him. And last man, Connor O'Sullivan. I think you got to chop him this week. So his last 3 have been 103, fantastic, but then bomb, 42, and then 54. So whenever that break-even is in red, you can see it at 85 compared to the 3-rounder in 66. That usually means that it is a good time to cull. And at 306,200, he's made you some decent coin, but I would be worried about him starting to leak. So in my humble opinion, say goodbye to Connor and thank him for his services. On to the defenders under 250k. We've got 3 names on the list here, and the man up the top, Matty Carroll, is by far going to be the most popular selection this week. Now, given the fact I don't know a heap about him, I asked 2 Carlton experts, and you can actually check out the potty as well to hear Janath's thoughts, but keep in mind this is before Cowan made a miraculous recovery and is now just a test to play. But here is former winner JP and the legendary Damon from Blue Baggers Edge with their thoughts on Matty Carroll. Now, I'm going to ask you two boys as well, JP and Damon in particular, what do we reckon about our young Carlton friend at 99k? Is this a realistic trading option? Matty Carroll, I know that we're not blessed with options. Are we getting desperate in considering him because he's the only, well, when I say the only one, he's one of the more realistic options available? Or do we just wait and say, no, too many dead rookies? Is this going to be another Campo? Is, I suppose, what I'm trying to ask you, two Carlton lads. Any thoughts?
I like him. I think he looks pretty assured with the ball. You know, he's confident. He can kick well. He's got a good kick to handball ratio. I'm pretty happy to pick him up, I think.
That's music to my ears. Damon, you're going to follow that up? Similar thoughts?
Yep.
Or?
Yeah, I do agree with JP. I was really impressed with him actually in the practice game against St Kilda when I watched him live for the first time, and I was like, who's this bloke? Like, he looks so confident, assured. His kicking's really good. He's like field kicking just generally outside the back line. He kind of drifts up a bit, really confident. And yeah, I like the look of him. And I think in terms of how he fits into the team structurally, I mean, in defense, we don't really have any other tools that could sort of displace him. He is 190 centimeters, but doesn't really play as a pure sort of lockdown defender. Already got Sauce for that, McGovern, Weeders. So kind of is that, fourth tall defender almost.
Hybrid.
Is it more like, is it Cowan? Is it more his role that he's taking? Because he's 4 to 6 away, is he? Like, what's he? He's a little bit away.
Did a hammy, yep.
Yeah, he's out for a little while. So he's probably the other one, who might displace him. But if he continues his good form, Boyd. He's a little bit shorter, plays maybe a similar role. I mean, he's not so much lockdown, but yeah, he's the only other one I could think of that maybe might come in and take a spot or similar. But I do like him, bottom price especially, can't go wrong.
Os McDonald, well, he's a rule breaker. He's only played the one game, attended some ruck contests, kicked a snag, but I'll definitely wait on him. A score of 50 means he isn't banging the door down. And Sardal Howie, well, I just wish he'd actually get some opportunity. Sub, a break even of 4, a 3-round average of 29. We can absolutely wait on him. But if he does finally get selected to play a full game, I suppose you could take him over someone like a Carroll, but that sub risk, for me anyway, is always going to be lingering around his head. Three, 2, 1. On to the midfielders, 500k plus, and I do have a couple of slides here. There are some players who I'll focus on a little bit more than others, but for the ones that I don't focus on, all the numbers are here for you. But the man up the top, King Nick, oh man, such poetry, celebrations, good times for owners. Add to that the extra elation if you chuck the VC on him, and add to that again if you are a Pies supporter. What a way to start off the weekend. On the other side of the coin, if you're a non-owner, with the added layer, like myself, of being a Lions supporter, oh man, it was just watch with your eyes closed behind the couch type stuff. A nightmare of epic proportions. Fags lied to us, let him run free for basically 3 quarters. They put Berry on him in the third, didn't do anything. Dunks lined up on him in the first CBA. I was licking my lips, but then they just shared it around for the first half, and they just smashed us. As I said, Berry had no real effect in the third quarter, and that's where he kicked that goal as well from memory in that third quarter. I know Nick gets some stick for not being an overly tough player, but Cam got him a beauty, just bounced back up, was involved in the next chain. His pace was just too much for us. I won't bother deep diving into all the stats because they're well documented, but yeah, the jump on now, I'll let him go at least for the short term and just pray for a tag game to see that floor sooner rather than later. I think he's an absolute must-have. I'm bringing him in this week, and I think that he should be your number 1 or 2 priority. His ceiling's off the chain, as we just witnessed, and a very, very scary non-own. And I'm attending my first Anzac Day game ever tomorrow, so I want to own him, and I'm chucking the VC on him. And the man below him, Georgie boy, he smacked us all in the face and is officially the pod of the year. Well, at least up until this point. He has just monstered the competition, and every bit of his 170 on the weekend was deserved, in my opinion. 34 touches, over 20 of those contested, 12 clearances, 9 tackles and a snag. Wowee, just hats off to him. The round 12 bye really does hurt, but you just can't deny his form, and everything suggests that he could finish as one of the highest averaging midfielders, if not the number 1 to 3 in 2025. He's playing like a man possessed, just doing everything to get his boys over the line. So strong at the contest, just uncompromising, a tough nut. He's their best mid by a mile so far this season, and to be honest, I don't see him putting on the brakes for any reason. The price tag does put me off, but everything else seems to be a massive green tick, unless I'm missing something. Played well in both wins and losses, and his form isn't dependent on the way his team is going as an overall unit. So congrats if you're one of his few owners. My man Brentos is. I'm guessing you're looking down on the rest of us from the heights of the top 1% if you are. So yeah, absolutely fantastic pick. Well done if you jumped on Georgie boy. Now I'll skip through these. Connor Rozee, we can see the role change symbol there as well as a buy now, because I think that he has a good chance of being a top 8 defender for us this year. Copped a bit of a tag in the last couple of weeks. Didn't seem to really worry him too much. I think he'll go that 100 plus average for sure. And that added DPP could add some real flexibility. So if you've got your day cost, for example, and you're looking for someone around the 500k mark, he is an absolute buy now for me anyway. Now, Matty Rao, if you take out that low game where we thought, he's tricked us again, he has really dominated. That 3-rounder doesn't really reflect how well he's played this season, and you're getting him around the 550k mark. Now, I could see this going really well. I could see it going wrong. I think back to poor old Spillsy last year. So, look, the decision is yours. I am not going there myself, but if you compare him to the price that we're paying for some of our other real elite midfielders, then I don't think that it's actually too bad. So if you want to go there, you can, but yeah, probably not for me. Adam Cherat, look, this bloke is just getting the job done. You can't ask much more than him, and I say it every week, and I'll repeat myself once more, you're pretty much locking in a score between, say, 95 and 110. So we're to have Cherat. We just hold on to him for now. This is a big one. John Newcomb, shout out to Rossco. He jumped on Newcomb last week for that massive score, 550k. With this nice run coming up, if you look at the DVP, his matchups are absolutely elite. I think it's maybe 3 in the next 4 weeks. It's number 1, 2, and 3. With Day out of the side, Nash out of the side, surely this man steps up. We know he's a bit of a tackling king. Remember what he did in his first game of his career. So, big fan of John Newcomb. He's an absolute pod. He's on fire at the moment. So, if you want to go a bit of a lone wolf move, he's a contested beast, and he could really start to push that 600k mark in the next month. And Zach Butters is the last man on this slide. What do you say? 658,800, a 3-rounder of 135 with a break-even of 90. They're projecting him to go 141. Now, against the Roos, I think he could actually do this, plus even a little bit more. If that's the case, he goes up another 20k, and he's getting really, really close to 700. So I've got the target symbol there. I've got the, obviously, happy Butters there because he's playing out of his skin. The big issue is the price. If you're prepared to pay, go for it. But just keep in mind, with the low cash gen that most of us have on the bench at the moment, it's just going to be super tough. But if you have the luxury to go there, he's a pod, and you can just reliably chuck the captaincy on him each week. Surely he's got to get a really hard tag soon, though. On the next slide, we've got Andy Brayshaw. I've got the Uber target there, as well as a Bond. Now, with Andy, you just really can't go wrong with the pick. Probably where you can go wrong is a price tag at 640k. We're really paying up for him. You look at what happened, and I know he's not he is a midfielder technically. Jack Sinclair last week. All you need is a bit of a low score. Do I see that coming with Andy? No, unless it's a really hard tag, but I still think he can push past an 80 type score. But at the moment, really, really nice starting pick. You could jump on if you want. You're getting quality, but it's just the price. And it's the same as a Bond. Look, 159. When I say the same as a Bond, I can't compare anyone to the Bond. I start with this man each and every year. I think I have for the last 5-6 years from memory. And if he was fit and available, I would have done the same thing. It really hurts watching this man go around when you don't own him. But at the same time, he's such a pleasure to the eye. And he's just a different sort of beast. 159 his first game back when he was meant to be just easing back in. Like, what do you even say to that? It's the price tag, and I know that I'd be prepared to start with him here, but actually trading him in at this price, it's a bit of a different ball game. When you're setting your team up, you can build around him, but you can't do that when you're looking to trade him in. So, oh, look, I think that we just need to wait. If you really want to jump on, then absolutely go for it, because you are getting quality. But with the way our cash gen is going at the moment, I just think that it's going to be a bit of a tough play. So good luck to you if you want to, but yeah, just not for me at the moment. We'll go all the way down, I think, to Josh Dunkley. After a huge round one performance, he's delivered unders, especially for those that trade him in after that monster. 117, 105, 114 is okayish, but then he's got that 88, 83 in the past fortnight. It's really hurt and weighted down his overall average. So probably one to avoid trading in, obviously, this week, but will be a lovely buy option in a couple. Like, this guy will be such a good price. I think we really need to have him around our plans. And the man up top, well, just above him, Norm Ashcroft. It was probably time for him to have a quiet one after dominating for the previous 3 weeks. No one expected him to be this quiet with a sub 45, but all of a sudden the golden boy for 23% of the competition may have become the problem child. With that low score in his cycle on the break even of 154, he will need a really big spike score to avoid losing cash. If you think he's a keeper, that's fine. Hold as you will. But if not, you've got a big decision in the next week or two whether to commit to the pick and move him on before he leaks too much cash. But playing St Kilda this week, we've seen what he has done in the previous 3. I think he can go big again and sort of reset that. But if you are worried, I don't blame you. If he's your ticket to Nick, I can see why it's so tempting. The man above him, I don't know why I've gone backwards here, but we've got Jordan Dawson. Now, the 3-rounder, nothing to write home about, but I love the price. The break-even is relatively high at 137. If he doesn't manage to hit the ton and just goes a mid-90s, he's going to lose around 20k, and all of a sudden, we could potentially have a Jordan Dawson on our hands at 500k. These are the type of blokes that we need to be filling our side with before we can really get to the uber premium. So I really like having him on your watch list. And the last bloke that we'll quickly touch on is Zeret. Now, a little bit disappointing with that 3-round average given his matchups, but Anzac Day, he is a big game player. I don't think he's going to get tagged. So at 600k, I think he's the safest houses pick. You are paying up, but nowhere near a Bont, a Butters, a Brayshaw. You are paying more than the Dawson type, but I rate him as a better pick than a Dawson. So look, if you own Nick Dacos and you're keen to watch Anzac Day, pairing Zach Merritt with the King could be a wonderful move, but you are paying up. There's a lot of different options here from 680k all the way down to 523. Whatever floats your boat and your structure, good luck in the mids this week. Now we'll quickly touch on 3 midfielders in the 250 to 500k range. We've got Nettie Long up the top. Geez, he really rewarded those that took the plunge at the inflated price with a 90 plus. And he's now got a low break even to boot. Looked very impressive. Kicked a snag, 21 touches, 5 clearances, 6 tackles. Did the job well. And with De Goey spending the majority of his time forward, that aided him as well. I think the ship, it's very, very, very close to have sailed. But look, kudos to those, like my man Supercoach God, who did jump on the long train. Oh, look, can you go now? I think you might be able to if you've got the confidence. But it's going to be a bit of a risk. Do I see him continuing to score 85 plus? Yeah, probably in the short term with this role. But at the price, 311k, yeah, there's getting less and less meat on the bone. Clary, look, he's been super disappointing. No arguing that. And I know some people looking to trade him out. He's your ticket to King Nick Dacos. And I'm not having a go at people that are. Not at all. But personally, I think this bloke is 100% a hold. And the reason why I'm saying this is because he's got a really nice fixture in the next couple of weeks. And for me, that's going to be his big test. If he can't produce a decent score against 2 of the lower ranked sides in the comp, then he's gone for me. But if he can, that cash gen can really start to get going again. And who knows, he may get a little bit of confidence. Melbourne as a team may. And things may start to change for him. There may be a bit of a different outlook with his future. So if you want to get rid of him, move him on. A-OK, as I said. But I'm a big advocate for holding Oliver at least for this week. And you got LDU on the bottom. Down at the bottom, a break even of 120. I've simply got the binoculars there. For those people looking to go a different route, not go your Butters, your Bonds, your Dacos types, and looking to save cash, these are the type of players that you need to look at. At the moment, I'm not saying go there, but he's going to continue to drop if he doesn't score at least a 120 this week. So I would have him on the watch list as someone you may potentially get as a bit of a bargain buy. On to the midfielders under 250k, only 4 names on the list and not too many great buying options at all. Up the top, we've got Tommy Crocker. He's still one that I'd pass on. 7 touches and a goal on the weekend playing up forward. Had a couple of tackles as well, but as we can see from the break-even and the 3-rounder, nothing special here. So in regards to Cochrane, I'm in the pass camp there. Tommy Gross, well, he was meant to be a must-trade-in rookie last week, but Minnie's stuffed with this again. He's quickly becoming the new Chris Scott. And after a great performance the week before, Grossi was relegated to the sub and got a look in for just over a quarter. Scored just 11 points, and all of a sudden his cash gen will halt, and his job security is seriously in question. Over 50% of the top 5% trade him in this week, and 28% of those coaches actually had him starting on field. So, ouch. We're just not confident anymore. Xavier Lindsay, certainly a hold for me. That 9 is now out of his system. His cash gen should get going again. Has a great fixture. We know what he's capable of, particularly after those first 2 games. And for the next couple of weeks, he should be fieldable if you think his body looks right. I think he's an absolute hold in my opinion. And last bloke there we have is Christian Moraes. You can see the chopping block symbol there. 199,900 has not been the successful rookie that we were hoping for. And the big concern here is that the break-even is in the red and it's only 46. That 3-rounder of 38, he's simply not fieldable. He's not making coin, so an easy flip this week. See you later, Chrissy. On to the Rucks, and I've only got the 3 options this week. I think I've got the best money maker, the best premium option, as well as probably the bloke that you might look to get rid of if you're a current owner. But the man up the top, Matty Flynn, oh man, look away now, Supercoach God. I'd label him a must-have if I was certain about his job security. This man came out and dominated in his second game of the season. Strong in the contest, working hard, filling holes. You could tell he was just desperate to hold his spot. Had 19 touches, 4 contested marks, 28 hit-outs with a score of 141. Was highly rewarded for that solid performance. Now, I boosted this bloke out after the first week. I still think that was the right decision, but now we've got a massive decision on our hands again. At under 265k with a break-even of negative 73 this week, he's looking to make some rapid cash. Now, my man Scobes has projected that if he averages 100 over the next month, he'll rise to 445k. We love that number 1 ruck roll, but we do hate poor job security. And that's the risk. If he just holds for 3 weeks, I think it's worth it. If he holds for that extra week or 2, even better. The issue is, if you get him at flex, he occupies that position for a while and your flexibility may be hindered. The week before he dominated in the 2s, West Coast put in a strong performance, so I assume he's safe for now, but for how long, only Minnie McWalter knows that. I really wish I had a crystal ball on this one, but given the fact that we don't have a heap of great downgrade options on other lines, I think this is a bloke that you've just got to take a punt on. I've got him as the best buy this week, and even with a lower projected of 76, he's still going to rise over 65k just in the 1 week, and I'm not sure if we've got too many other players on our hands that have the ability to do that. So I'm a big fan of bringing him in this week. There is certainly risk attached to it, but at 261k, after that massive 140 odd, I'm going to be bringing him in myself. Now, the big boy, Tristan Sherry. I've been waiting for this. Finally, the man delivers. Now, I've said this basically all season long. If he's fit, he's the number 1 ruck that we can select. Sherry is an absolute monster. And again, we finally got to see that on the weekend. It's been a long time, but I don't think it's necessarily been his fault. We know that he's been playing with injury, and it's been super obvious, but North Melbourne did come out during the week and say that they expect him to be back to his best and absolutely dominate. So the 3 weeks before this, 89, 94, 83, that sent his price absolutely plummeting from 645k now to 557. So you're almost getting close to a 90 to 100k discount here on the great man. The issue is, with Flynn available as well, I don't think there's too many teams that can go 2 rucks in this week. So do you go up and just lock in who should be the number 1 ruck if fit? Or do you go for that money maker, the bloke like Flynn, where you can have your cake and eat it too? You can get some really nice cash gen, but you can also get a rookie off field and hopefully, fingers crossed, at least lock in that, well, at a minimum 85 plus type. So it's a tough decision. I own Sherry, I'm getting Flynn. But if you don't own Sherry, I suppose you could just wait that extra week and then potentially get him in next week. But yeah, it's tough to get 2 rucks at the one time. But the fact that Sherry finally looks healthy again and has just delivered a monster, oh man, it's so hard to deny him as well. Like, non-owners have been kissed here without a doubt, and I'm very jealous as someone who started him. And I shouldn't be talking up this trade in, to be honest, but as an honest man myself, I need to give you my true opinion, and that is a brilliant buy at this price. And also the great man George had faith in him last week, so much faith he actually chucked the C on him. So a fantastic move by the GOAT there. And that's another thing, a fit Sherry is a VCC option each and every week, pretty much regardless of his opposition. Oh, and then Big Kizza. This was an absolute shocker. Now, he was cheap a couple of weeks ago, and I know some teams did bring him in. I'm not going to mention you again, Supercoach God, because I love you too much, mate. But at 448,200 with a break-even of 154, man, you can see the toilet paper symbol there. He's looking to leak cash. So I would highly, highly, highly advise that if you are a Kieran Briggs owner, I'd flip him to Flynn. I'd be super happy to do that. If you got Briggs at R2, it's a risk because you could bring Flynn in, then he's dropped. It could be a little bit of carnage there. But just with Briggs at the moment, he's not looking good. And with that low score in his system, as you can see from the break-even here, set to plummet again. So, Matty Flynn, extremely close to must-have. Sherry is looking like the ultimate Uber ruck if you can manage to get him in. And Briggsy, well, as I said, I've got the toilet paper there. On to the forwards, 500k plus. Just got the 2 names here this week. Up the top, we've got Nicky Boy, a big fan of the Swordplay podcast and a ripping bloke as well. We can see him wearing the beanie down there. Absolute wonderful fella. But didn't he put on a stellar performance on the weekend? Just loves playing in WA. He was everywhere, now available as a forward, which makes him super relevant, particularly with that handy DPP. And he could prove to be the ultimate swingman. He's now been, well, he's been known to work at a butcher shop at times, I suppose, but he used his 26 touches really effectively at 85%. So that's super for Nick Martin. Took 12 marks, worked hard, and also kicked a nice sausage roll for a beautiful score of 145. Bang, Nicky baby. Now providing big competition to your tracks, way ahead of your Warner types, for a spot in the forward line. But the other bloke that, geez, we don't have to have him, but for those that trade him out, it does hurt a little bit because that 3-rounder of 122 is starkly different compared to his first 3 scores of the year. His break-even is in the 110 range. That's still in the green with that big 3-rounder. So with a projected score of 103, he's really going to stay around the mark. So the horny man is always going to be a good in. I'm just hoping he doesn't hurt non-owners too much. On to the forwards, 250 to 500k. Oh man, this man up the top, Sammy Power Pepper. He was an absolute monster and now produced consecutive tons for the first time in his career. Totally vindicated for staying true to my guns and holding after people said I was a little bit nuts. And look, I don't blame those that traded after his 18, but now set to make 150 plus K and doing everything for us. Scoring on field plus cash in the bank. All we can ask for. I love this brilliant, big, bald man, and he's on my Christmas list for sure. Levi played a ripping game, delivered us some really awesome on-field scores as well, similar to Power Pepper, either up forward or in our midfield. Hold for sure, and just enjoy those scores. Not much more to say. I just love watching this bloke as line supporter, and to think about what he could be capable of in the next few years, it's going to be absolutely scary. I'm going to rush through these now. Sanders, look, I don't think you can see hold. Heaps of hold here. So we've got Sanders, Davidson, Reed, and Marek all as holds. I think that you just leave these blokes playing on field for now. It will get to a point in time, particularly with your Davidson and your Reed, where you'll definitely look to move on. I don't think there's a world where Sanders can stay in our sides. But look at that 3-round average, 91. That's what we're hoping for at the start of the season, particularly those people that did start them in their sides. And with Murphy Reed, with a 3-rounder of 71, that break even of 44, you can absolutely hold for another week. No problems there. Merrick's the same. He's doing a great job for me along with Sam Powell, Pepper and blokes like Ashcroft. 88 for a 3-rounder. Break even's 54. My plan is just hold him for at least another couple of weeks and he'll be a really nice stepping stone above the 400k mark, you'd assume. But now we need to get to the next three. Humpty is an absolute sell. Proven to be a trap. Made a little bit of coin, but not what coaches wanted. Has dropped some stinkers in the past few weeks. And this is the issue. The roll just isn't there anymore. The CBAs are right down, which is always a risk, and it's simply time to cash him in. Fair to say Humpty fell off the ball and had a very big fall. And we'll skip Tractor for a sec because potentially the biggest fall that we've seen is Chad Warner, sitting at 460k with a 3-round average of 69. The break-even is almost double that 3-rounder, and we know that he can get that break-even in an absolute heartbeat when he's on. The projected score's only 84, and if that's the case, he's going to go down around 15k all of a sudden in the 440-odd K range. You would not believe this for such a talented player. So for me, there's no way we look to trade him in. We just wait until or if he finds some form, and then we look to target, I think. But the big man here is Christian Petrarca. Now, why do I have a buy now? It's a little bit crazy when you see the break-even. Well, it's just in red, only 1 point, and the bloke still hasn't hit the ton. But I think if we look at the price, and I know that you shouldn't just go on name and history, but surely this bloke is way too good to be hovering around 480k and not hitting the ton. I think this could be his week. Melbourne are on the up a little bit, and just from what I've heard, it seems like Track has slightly shifted his attitude. A couple of weeks before, just completely down and out. Body language was terrible. But he's now given that message, come on, let's stick together, boys, and trying to make something of the season. Now, was that just after a decent game? I'm not too sure. But I think if you are investing in your forward line and you are looking for that forward keeper, then he's probably the man at the moment. The other bloke, do you know what? I don't even have him here. It's Isaac Rankin. So apologies for that. Would have usually seen him in the 500k range, but he's under 500k at the moment. So I think if you are looking for a forward between this range or on this slide, it's definitely Track, or else you're taking a really good look at Isaac Rankin as well. I'd probably have Rankin ahead and Track second, but with that DPP, a nice upcoming fixture, particularly in the next 2 weeks, I think that, I won't say explode, but he could really start to reward those that have jumped on. Onto the forwards, under 250k, 4 names on the list, and the man up the top is priced at over 200,000, which isn't fantastic, but look at that 3-round average of 95. It's Corey Durden, played out of his skin for the last couple of weeks, but I think he's slightly trappish. Just not confident these scores continue. He comes up with a harder matchup or against a harder matchup this week, and scoring in his role can't be sustainable in my eyes, but if he continues to go around the 80 plus mark, he's looking absolutely fantastic. On the weekend, 11 touches, 5 tackles, and 2 goals too. That's decent, and he's doing his job well. He's adding that defensive pressure up forward, as well as also impacting the scoreboard. But at the price, I'd probably even look at the man right down the bottom of this list. You've got Neil Erasmus, who's been on the bubble for a long time. There's been talk that he could be included in the best 23 this week, but I'm really not sure on that. With a projected score of 40 if he plays, he'll rise around 40k. Clayton Cleary got the poo symbol there. Just shocking. Got nowhere near it. And all of a sudden, he could potentially be a dead pick. The Swannies have some more players to come into the side soon, but hopefully with Papley out, he can be that replacement. And we know that he can score 80 plus, hoping for a much better performance this week. And Elijah Hewitt, come on down some. After a less than desirable quarter 1 and 2, he dominated the second half, and in my opinion, was the Eagles' best player by a mile. This is just in the second half. 17 disposals, 2 goals, and he would have tons if he hadn't have given away a few free kicks and a 50-metre penalty. He is the absolute yin and yang. Looked like a different player in that second half, and all of a sudden, a massive win if you held, an even bigger win if you managed to loop his 97 on field. His cash gen, that will now really start to kick over with this nice score in his system, and 150k is looking likely after all. He's been a fantastic hold. The ship is really sailing here, so if you are keen, I think there is a world where you can go this week, but it is this week or nothing. But as current owners, we rejoice. A negative break-even of 8 and looking to rise again. Well done, my man. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you very much for watching. All the best of luck with your trade ins and your trade outs. I'll see you soon in the next one. Cheers, bye.